I believe what Nelson Mandela said remains impossible until someone does it. Musical note: only 2% of people can follow musical note. These rules. I think the secret to success, whether you're from a small village or a big city, the most important thing you have to do is start working. And secondly, you have to have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish. You've got to be brave, you've got to be tough, you have to be disciplined to follow through to the end. There's never enough time for any of us. Time. But there are 24 hours in a day, and 6 of those hours is for sleep. I know there's gonna be some people right now who will say, hey, wait a minute, I'm gonna need 8 at least, and I'm gonna say it's faster. Because in the end, 6 hours are spent sleeping. You have 24 hours of sleep in a 24-hour day. That leaves 18 hours for your work, your family, hobbies, learning something new. It could easily be learning a foreign language, or maybe you say I want to go and change my body, and then you decide that you're going to work out for an hour every day, and then so you take that hour out. And for most people it's very difficult, but it's doable. Because that's exactly what I did when I came to this country. I went to school, I worked construction, I worked out 5 hours a day. I took acting classes at 8 o'clock at night, and until to midnight I did all these things. I wanted to make sure that none of the 24 hours of my day I wasn't wasting. Those hours were too precious. I always tell people, don't tell me that it's not a good time, that you don't have time. You have time. You can find it. Find it. The rule of success is to find your vision and follow it. I think the most important thing is that you have a clear vision of where you're going. The goal that you're aiming for. Because even if you have the best ship in the world, if you have the best cruise ship in the world and the captain doesn't know where the ship's going, is just gonna float around the world somewhere on the high seas, and it's never gonna to get anywhere. That's exactly what happens in real life. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a vision, you're just gonna floating around in circles, and you'll never find happiness. Musical note: it's true. If you don't have a vision, musical note, if you don't have a purpose, if you don't see your future right in front of you, you're just floating around aimlessly. And when you're not, think small. If you want something to accomplish something, you gotta think big. Musical note: the biggest challenges come from musical note people who think small. The reason why people think small and choose small, insignificant goals is because they're afraid that they won't. They realize that if they set a high goal for themselves, their chances of failure will be very high, and their fear of failure is one of the most common reasons why people refuse to take even a small step in life. I tell myself all the time, look, I don't worry about failures because they're part of my life. You're not always going to succeed. If that's the case, how far can you fall? Look, this is the ground, and further than the ground, you can't fall any farther than the ground. And you know what the only time you can say that you didn't is when you've fallen, and you never get up again. So remember, never. Don't think small, think big. Work your hardest. No one ever succeeded by accident. I mean, if you don't succeed, then you're not working hard enough. I've always believed in trying things. All the options, you have to work as hard as you can. That's what I've always believed. Remember, you can't climb your way to success without taking your hands out of your pockets. You have to work your hardest, and there's no other way. I want you to remember these rules. Have a vision to think globally. Don't pay attention to the naysayers. Musical note: work that symbol to give, and musical note change this world, because who else but musical note we are if not now musical note.